What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Wrong Side of the Tracks. I'm your host, Ryan. Thank you so fucking much for joining me. Seriously, whether this is your first time or whether you've been rocking with me for a few episodes now, I'm super grateful for you to share this time with me, for you to give me this opportunity to hear my story, hear my experiences, and maybe learn something about yourself or learn about something new that you want to go and research. All right. Without further ado, we're going to dive into this episode. Hopefully if you listened to last week's episode, you kind of have a better idea of what I'm trying to do with this podcast. Like, I want these episodes to be like, little learning lessons, little like informational packets that will maybe help you, you know, find something new that you want to explore, dive into, figure out, learn, have fun with, or maybe it'll help you understand something that's already going on, like with you, experiences you're already having, and hearing my experiences with this shit, what I have figured out that works for me, what I have figured out like was going on with me through some of these changes and, weird and wild and wacky fucking experiences. Yeah, maybe it'll help you, understand yourself a little bit better, right? If not, that's totally cool too. Maybe you just find some of these things fascinating and entertaining, right? That being said, today we are going to talk about astral projection, right? Out of body experience, fucking, I don't know what else to call it besides that. Astral projection, out of body experiences, right? That's what I've always referred to it as, even before I purposely tried to do it. I always heard about this astral projection thing. It was like I don't know, stories my mom would tell me, as I was younger, I thought they were like little, just like spooky, I don't know, not really ghost stories, but you know what I'm talking about. Just like a cool little spooky tale, right? That being said, it is a very real thing. It's a very cool thing. I don't fully obviously understand it. That being said, if you want to go listen to uh Joseph Campbell, he was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast. He can explain this. Maybe you understand it from his perspective better. Look up I think it's the Monroe Society or the Monroe Institute. Um, Look up any of the declassified fucking CIA documents talking about astral projection and out of body experiences and the hemisync, like them being able to use frequencies and sound waves to literally take everybody and put them in the astral state. So it is a very real thing. It's a very understood and researched thing, right? Like the government doesn't dump billions and billions of dollars into something if there's nothing there, right? So again, I don't understand everything about it, but one thing I do know is it isn't some crazy, weird, creepy, fucking, evil thing. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how else to put that, right? You kind of see it lumped in this category of spiritual practices, teachings, techniques, whatever you want to call it, like yoga, meditation, psychedelics, all that weird shit. It's kind of lumped over in that category. And yeah, I'm going to share my experiences with it and why I don't think it's fucking anything crazy at all. How actually, once I understood what it was and was able to do it, how it actually helped a lot of shit in my life. I was somebody who always experienced what people call night terrors and sleep paralysis. Like, this was a regular fucking thing in my life that I had just learned to accept. Like, even when me and my wife had gotten together, um, I kind of explained this to her and she witnessed it 1,000 times. Like, me literally trying to move, making the strangest sounds, trying to, get up in the middle of the night. Like, you name it. And what I was experiencing on the inside was like a crazy night terror. Something's trying to get me. Like I cannot move, yell, make a sound, anything. It was crazy. They're terrifying, right? Once I understood how to astral project, all of that shit went away. And I'll make the connections as we get into it here. But yeah, it's a super cool thing and it was fucking very helpful to me. And before we get too far into it, I will say this again. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Out of all of these spiritual techniques, meditation, breath work, psychedelics, I consider psychedelics and plant medicine kind of two different things because there can be plant medicines that are not psychedelic at all or used for that type of purpose, right? So I always talk about psychedelics, plant medicine, two different things. Um, but yeah, so with all these astral projection, plant medicine, psychedelics, meditation, breath work, um, yeah, I don't even can't think of anything else off the top of my head that I use regularly. Um, energy work, right? So, anyways, out of all of these things, astral projection is equally as mind blowing to me as psychedelics, as far as the feeling it gives you on the inside is like you can't explain the vividness of it, the realness of it. It feels as real as this reality. Like you cannot explain it. Like you cannot convince me otherwise that it is not a real place or just a different like state of consciousness, a different data stream like I've talked about that we can switch to that brings in a different realm or dimension or however you want to look at that. Um but it is like it gives you the feeling of that realness while at the same time being so fucking mind bending like a psychedelic that you just cannot explain it. The thing where it may get the leg up in my mind is because you are completely sober as far as there is no what do you want to call it, endogenous substance going into you. Now, what your brain is doing during this day, I don't know. Maybe it's like pumping DMT, melatonin, a combination and a cocktail of chemicals in your brain. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But you're not putting anything into you. So it is like almost a leg up as far as, whoa, this is as crazy as that experience. And don't get me wrong, meditation and the visions I have and the sounds I hear and, what some would call channeling or psychic visions or something of that nature. Um, those are obviously crazy. The places you can get to with breath work, literally breath work to me can be used like micro dosing. Like literally you could do a little micro dose every morning with a good intense breath work session and get to the same place and carry the same energy and vibration that like microdosing puts you in, for me anyways, with certain like Wim Hof breathing techniques. Sorry guys. So yeah, all these things are cool. This episode we're going to try and focus on the astral projection thing, because I think it needs to be talked about, especially with that recent, like I said, Joseph Campbell thing and this kind of coming out and how much it helped me and how cool I think it is. I think it's just time to have its own episode, right? And again, maybe a little learning thing. We'll find out. Sorry, I got to get my chocolate milk in. For those of you who are not watching the video and just listening to this, I got to remember that there are some of you just listening to this. All right, let's get the smell good going. And we will dive into some astral projection. So I do have a cool poem. Obviously, those of you who've been listening to the show, I'm a poetry guy. And if I happen to have a poem that seems like it goes along with that theme, I love to read it. And yeah, so if you're not a poetry person, you might want to, yeah, just skip the next like minute and a half or something. But it's a pretty cool poem. And yeah, I think it ties in very well with this like astral projection, out of body, spirit in a meat suit idea. All right. I call this one Must We Go? Must we go, or may we stay on this realm or in this place? These are the things running through my mind, not just occasionally, but all the time. For most, it's scary. To others, not so. For me, it's exciting, just so you know. So as I explore the halls of our mind, I'm reminded by Gaia of our limited time. Confronting this ending with our mind's eye will be in our favor as the end draws nigh. Now, rather than fret or frighten to death, I ask you to be here and forget all the rest. Focus on your breathing, on the beating of your heart. As boundaries start receding, a new reality starts. Once we learn to truly love, we'll take our place in the stars above. So until that day, I sit with this vision, awaiting the call of the psychedelic mission. Peace. No, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It's just the kind of shorter, quicker, more fun poem than the deep metaphorical stuff that I usually get into. So, but yeah, I thought it tied into this theme very well. So, astral projection. Where do I even get started? Let's see. Yeah, again, one thing I really want to emphasize, guys, like kind of the importance to this is maybe if you've never heard of astral projection, maybe you're learning something new. There you go. You can go check it out and look all the things up you want. But hopefully you're hearing this first because you're gonna find everything on both ends of the spectrum, from it's like the most evil, craziest thing in the world and you can die doing it, and to it's the best thing that, it's the bee's knees, right? Everything is usually somewhere in the middle, right? That's why I'm giving you my experiences, because maybe it'll help you, sift through that bullshit. Again, maybe if you have heard about it and these things are kind of happening to you, or you're experiencing some of these things, maybe my experiences and how I dealt with it will help you figure out a pathway to dealing with it, right? And then if you're another person who's just like interested in this topic and wants to try and figure it out and explore it, then you can get something out of this as well, as far as like that's once I knew what it was, that's what I did, and it can be very fun, just like psychedelics or meditation or any of that shit, right? So yeah, one of the things I will say, guys, so night terrors. If anybody has never experienced night terrors, and maybe they're different for everybody, right? I don't want to say like I know exactly what night terrors are, but what they were for me was always like, um, it wasn't even necessarily like an exact like setting or something that I could always vividly remember. It'd always be like somewhere dark, maybe even just like in my house, my hallway or something like that. And there would be something trying to get me. I could never tell what it was. Sometimes you could see like a black shadowy thing. Um, Sometimes you could never see it. You could just feel it was like holding you or whatever, and you could not move. You would try and yell. There would be no sound come out. Sometimes I could even see people who were like in my house, my parents or whatever, and they could not hear me. I'm like yelling and this thing's getting me. I'm thinking like, what the hell is going on? And then I would always wake up like super violently, like, whoa, what is that? What's going on? Right? So, and then yeah, the sleep paralysis in that, as far as like you feel like you're awake sometimes because it looks like your house and you just cannot move, right? At all. So, anyways, this happened to me, from as early as I can remember. Like I explained in my story, if you haven't listened to that one, some of the craziest ones in my teenage years and shit. But definitely all the way through, even like I said, meeting my wife, like until a few years back and figuring this shit out. So, anyway, some of the taboo shit I always heard about, uh, like astral projection, is that like, you're connected by this golden cord. It's like your umbilical cord almost, and you can, if you go too far when you're astral projecting and you break that cord, you could die. You lose your soul, disconnects from your body, all this weird shit. This was like ever before I tried it and or put two and two together, just so you know, just so we have a reference. Like, these are just the things I had heard, or like the taboo shit I knew about astral projection from wherever. Um so yeah, no correlation at this point, just had heard that shit. So anyways, um fast forward until like, yeah, I don't know, probably again a lot of this shit all started happening, during COVID, maybe a little bit before, but all in that kind of time frame, just like piece by piece, and dreams, and put all that shit together. It was all around that time frame. So that's like 2019. That's like 30, right? So yeah, maybe something about turning 30, the dirty 30. All this shit slowly starts trickling in. But anyways, I kind of actually start like, you know, looking into astral projection a little bit. So maybe this was actually a little bit later on, like 32, 33 for sure. Cause like definitely had a lot more just normal shit, meditation and that type of shit for the first little while. That being said, when I start like looking into this shit, like 32, 33, um, I've always been the type of person who, if I'm gonna try and figure something out, I want to figure it out for myself. I don't know. It's like a weird, stubborn pride thing. It's not like I don't want to learn from other people, but I like to try and figure out. Like, I like to try and get to a certain level of things by myself, because I feel by doing that, then like once I do that with anything, like I get to a certain level of it by myself, like struggling and taking longer to figure things out and find resources and whatever it is, right? It definitely takes longer than just having a teacher or a mentor or somebody show you some shit. But like I said, by doing that, I always figure, so once I get to a certain level, then I do go looking for help, like, in different places, and really start researching like the experts, or the masters, or whatever the fuck, the highest levels of their field of study. Then I go look at those people once I get to that level, because I feel like it kind of gives me the ability to filter out the initial bullshit, right? There's a lot of people that can just say and regurgitate a lot of fucking surface level information and nonsense. And if you don't know anything about a topic, it's very easy to get, persuade or distracted by that shit. But if you do a certain level of due diligence on your own, and then you go looking, or at least for me anyways, this is how it works, and then I go looking, then I can kind of really see through the riffraff, and I kind of get to a handful of experts, and then I use, discernment and intuition, because you'll still have people on both sides who make things sound really good and scientific and intellectual and smart, and they're very well spoken, and they've been doing it for years and years. So, um, yeah, it just kind of gets you to another level without having to, sift through everyone right off the get go. So, that being said, I used just a lot of like, I knew what astral projection, like the generality was. Like, basically, lucid dreaming could be kind of lumped up in with it. Some people say they're different things. Some people say like lucid dreaming is like the level before astral projection, where like everything feels super real and everything, but you aren't actually controlling stuff. Some people say lucid dreaming, you do actually control stuff, and astral projection is a whole other thing, right? I'm not going that deep into it. Again, I don't know everything. All I knew was like astral projection was like a dream state where you could control it, right? And you didn't want to go too far and lose your golden cord. So that being said, I start like, I want to practice this, right? Like I've gotten pretty good at meditation at this point and being very visual and being able to calm my mind and like visualize like super cool shit. And so, and I've always just been a visual person, obviously my poetry and garbage, but, so yeah, I looked up a lot of just like Spotify shit, like people, astral projection meditations and like hypnotherapy things and different sound waves to kind of get you into there, different things like that. And it took a long time. It was kind of like meditation. Like I did this shit, like I practiced or anything, tried my thing, like, laying there, getting into meditative state, trying to do it, picturing your body heavy, the hypnotherapy things, picture, you coming out and rising above. I did all that shit for ever. Like it seemed like forever, but it must have been, it probably was a good, 3-4 months with nothing. Like I had no experiences. Like I kept going because it was pretty cool as far as it was just like another I was making sure I was like still meditating. Oh, excuse me guys, sorry. I was like still meditating, while I was doing it, as far as like taking time to myself, you know, focusing my energy inward, doing all the things that I had slowly been practicing elsewhere. So it was just like another form of that to me. So like even though I wasn't having crazy astral projection experiences, I was still like enjoying it enough to keep going. So, anyways, legitimately though, it was probably like 4 months before anything happened at all. Like I'm just doing it, nothing happened at all. Some cool visualization stuff. Um, you know, awesome mental clarity and like intuition, insights, all that jazz. So it was cool. But then after like 4 months, I had started sporadically having like success with it. And so I don't want to like give it away. I'll kind of like lead to how and why this started happening, why it took so long. But let's just say like I started having like general success as far as like I had an experience where, so the first one, I'll try and explain the very first one that I had because it blew my mind. It was super short, but it blew my mind. So the whole family had just laid down to, go to bed. Or me and the wife were going down to lay down for bed. The kids were going to stay up a little bit and watch their TV show and probably pass out as they were, watching their show. So, anyways, we go back to bed and I'm going to try this. And lo and behold, as I start, you know, getting into this state, I really start experiencing what, a lot of the Spotify things said, like it would feel like your body is falling and like don't fight that, right? Like go the opposite way of the falling, almost like you're falling out of an airplane and boom, you come out. And sure as shit, it was just like that. I felt like I was falling. I even pictured me falling from an airplane and like I pulled out and I was out of my body and I looked over and I could see the wife laying there, curled in her little cute fetal position sleeping. And I was like, holy shit, this is like crazy. There's no way this is actually working. But I didn't want to, I knew enough like not to get excited. I'd listened to enough of these videos like, hey, don't excite yourself because you could quickly end the experience. So even though I was getting excited and it was only just starting, I was like, okay, try and hold it in a little bit. So, anyways, I tried to move and it was pretty hard. It was like almost like, if you can imagine floating and nothing to walk on, you have no friction, no surface, no nothing to get going. So I literally almost couldn't get going. I was like trying to swim. I probably looked retarded if there were any like spiritual astral beings like watching me. But anyways, I was able to get to the wall and push off of the wall. And when I pushed off of the wall, I launched out to the living room. And when I got out to the living room, I could see both of my boys sitting there watching TV. And I even, like, as I was floating, I touched one of my boys on like his chest and he looked at me and like smiled at me. He could, like, I thought he could see me and everything, like the way we interacted, right? And when that happened, that like excited me enough that I was like, oh my gosh, this is too freaking cool. And I instantly like slammed back in my body and I like came to, and the wife was there. This was literally like 5 minutes. This all happened within 5 minutes, right? It was like a psychedelic experience as far as like it felt so much longer. I cannot explain that. Like it felt like I was in there so much longer, even though I didn't do much, just go from the bedroom out to the living room and move around a little bit and touch my son on his chest. I felt like it was so much longer. Like I don't know how much longer, but it wasn't like 5 minutes. Literally, like the wife was not asleep. She was not in that fetal position that I thought she was, and I was like, no way, it just worked. I told her like the astral projection thing. I just came out. I was controlling it. It was super hard. I was like super excited. I ran out to the living room to ask the boys. I was like, hey, did you just see me out here? And they're like, no. They looking at me like I'm a crazy person. I'm like, there's no way. I seen you. Like they were sitting in the same spots. They were like doing the same exact things. I think one of them was like drawing as the TV was playing. The other one was watching the TV. Um, and he was all excited, but he was like, no, no, I didn't see you. I'm like, dude, I touched your chest. You smiled at me. We like connected eyes. It was crazy. So anyways, I was blown away at this experience. Like, what the hell just happened? How did that happen? And so I immediately laid down, boom, was able to do it again. Was like, now this time I went a little bit further, went out of the house, freaking, tried flying. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, like flying and jumping super high, and it was crazy. And then I got super scared myself awake again. Um, but I was like, oh my God, like I'm able to like do this now. Cause both those times, like I felt the feeling, the dropping feeling and pulled myself out and it was like there. Right. So, fast forward, I'm like trying to do this every night or every other night before bed. And after that time, I'd had success like every other day or every third day for like a 2 week period, to the point of I don't want to bore you with all the like the things that I did and everything like that. But in that 2 week period of like sporadically doing it, so probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times maybe, I was able to learn like the feeling that I was getting from like dropping and falling out and pulling out. And then when I would like scare myself awake and come back to, it dawned on me and I realized like this is what had been happening or trying to happen my whole life. As far as all those night terrors and the sleep paralysis things, those were lucid dreams or astral projections or out of body experiences, whatever you want to call them. That's what they were, because I had noticed that feeling, like the not moving and everything, that was the same thing. Only now that I was trying it and like understanding it, it was like, it wasn't a scary thing. I was learning it, right? So it just like helped me make that connection, right? And then when I would scare myself back awake, this is like the feeling of the screaming and not being able to move and there's no sound coming out. Like that's like what happens. Like as that happens, like when I would scare myself, like it, and with the astral projections, I would get into this thing where I would fly. And then when I would start falling, I would get scared thinking like, oh my gosh, am I going to hit splat? Like I'm all the way up in the stars. Like what happens if you slam earth from the stars, right? And I would scare myself in that moment of scaring myself awake and coming to. It was the same feeling that I had experienced my whole life with these night terrors and sleep paralysis, right? So for me, it helped clear all that up, right? And then after I kind of had that epiphany, I wasn't able to do it again for a little while. Not like a super long time, but it was like a month or so before I was able to like do it again. And maybe it's like a psychedelic thing, an integration thing, I'm not sure. But in that month of not being able to do it again, yeah, maybe this is it, because this is what I learned, like with not being able to do it again, and why I think it took so long to have that first experience, the 4 months. What that was doing was actually like getting my body in shape for it. So I used to be like 250 pounds. I was like not centered, not doing what I was like should be doing, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, the whole 9 yards, right? I was like even though I was like in my career, what I should be like the highlight of my career, I was an engineer tech and a counseling services person, and was getting great opportunities like through the like county counseling services, like as a recovery navigator and all sorts of shit. So like my career wise, I should have been like, the best times of my life, but I was just not freaking centered, man. So anyways, 250 pounds and eating like an animal. Let's just put it that way. Once I got onto this meditation shit and the mindset shit and like started intermittent fasting, initially I didn't change anything with my diet other than the times I would eat. But like when I would eat from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., because I just ate, I went to intermittent fasting like every day, just one meal a day. Well, not one meal, eating one time a day from the hours of 2 to 6. But when I would eat in those hours, like not even kidding you, I would eat like 5,000 calories. I was still eating just garbagey shit. That being said, doing that and like incorporating all these other practices like meditation and just mindset work and fucking figuring out who I was, going inward, and that whole jazz. um I dropped weight literally like about a year, 9 months, 10 months, in that range. I went from 250 to 160 pounds, right? So 90 pounds in that. And then since then, I've kind of got down to like 150, 155 is where I bounce back and forth. So 90 to 100 pounds, it doing nothing but just literally switching up the time that I was eating to this intermittent fasting thing. And then once I got to that point, like, hey, this mind shit is like actually like a real thing. My energy levels are coming up through the roof. I'm starting to get into Reiki and discover Reiki at this point, just like initially getting attuned to the lower levels. And now I actually wanted to start like changing my diet, right? So the diet didn't change to a healthier diet until after the weight came off. I just want to make that like, observation. So anyways, so when that diet changed, that was like the 4 month period before I had the first crazy experience. So my diet was not only changing, not only this intermittent fasting thing, but now I went to literally, I did a 2 month period where I did nothing but fruits, not even vegetables, literally just fruits and water. That was all I had. Well, coffee. I always have my coffee, but, did that. And that was the last 2 month gap. When I did that, boom, then I was able to have those experiences. Then like, because I did that for 2 months, right? I felt like, oh, I'm like, super centered and doing awesome. And I just went 2 months eating nothing but fruits. Uh, I'm going to like, slack off a little bit, if you will. Well, that slacking off a little bit, because I love sour gummies, right? Chocolate milk. I'm not like a crazy candy junk food person. I don't drink pop or anything, but the few things that I do like, I binge on. So that being said, I was doing that again, and I think that's why I had the month-long period afterwards of like integration and like realizing like, oh, you're eating like shit again, and now you're not able to do this. So then I, like I had played with psychedelics and shit, like I explained in that episode, I started playing with this. I went straight back on a week of just hydrating in the fruit diet, a fruitivore diet, and bam, was able to do it again. And now I'm like, oh, okay. It's like because our brain is a receiver and antenna. This astral projection thing, whether I understand it completely or not, like to get to that data stream, your body has to be fucking like, I don't want to say like tip top shape, but you have to be pretty disciplined. It has to be hydrated. You have to be, focused, centered, fucking eating right. Like you have to give it the right environment for this experience to happen. That much I do know. It's not like psychedelics. As far as like psychedelics, you can cheat it. You could, psychedelics work better on an empty stomach, but you can eat some shit and take enough psychedelics and still have a crazy experience. This thing, in my experience anyways, you have to be fairly in tune, in a healthy-ish state, like a receptive state, I will say. Again, for me. But yeah, then not only was I able to play with this and actually do it, then I started having some fun in this. This place is like, it's a super psychedelic, like hyperdimensional, like learning playground. That's like literally what I kind of think it's for. I like, it took me several tries of fucking around, and even still, I'm not like, I don't want to say I'm any like expert or professional at astral projecting and fucking around in there, because I still even have like trouble moving around and this and that. And here's one thing I do want to point out. Maybe somebody else can explain this. I don't ever see anybody else. When I'm astral projecting, I don't see other people astral projecting and flying and doing all this shit. I don't see other spirits, any guides, any this, that. Like, nope, it's not like psychedelics. I don't feel like somebody's watching or anything. I feel like I'm the only one in this place. It's kind of fucking strange and eerie for that fact, because like, you go out on the town and the town looks like the town, but there's like no other people. The only people I have ever seen in it is my family, like in the house, like on the couches or in their bed or something. But outside of that, I've never seen anybody else. Super weird. Maybe somebody can explain this to me, because I don't get it. Maybe there's just not a lot of people fucking doing it. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, once I started like playing around in there a lot, I learned that much of it. Like psychedelics, this place can be a learning, a training. Like, I kind of feel like how we've talked about before, and not, this isn't my thing, this is a fucking universal thing. I don't know. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is like, it just can transform, change direction, change forms, whatever you want to call it. And so, like a psychedelic experience can kind of give you insight into that shit, like show you, you don't fucking know what you think you know, and there's way more going on. This astral projection thing kind of shows, like, gives me a glimpse of like, hey, if this is what the afterlife is like if your energy when you leave the body is this spirit thing, right? Like, you can kind of see things, right? Like, it kind of almost lays a little framework for like ghosts and shit like that. How like maybe they don't know that they're interacting, like, or even able to be seen or even know what they're doing. Because here's the thing that I have noticed about astral projection. If this experience had just happened to me, like if that is what happens when you die, right? Because like astral projection, out of body experience, if that's what happens when you die, if that were to happen like suddenly, like I had never practiced that in my life, and all of a sudden I got hit by a car and I was in that place, I would not know it. I would think I'm fucking still here, because everything looks that close enough, right? And it would freak me out when nobody was able to hear me or understand me or interact with me, or people think it's a haunting or a ghost or something of that nature, when I'm just trying to like interact, right? I don't know if that's what's going on, but it really kind of gives you that feeling. So I'm super grateful for it, because that's what I've like explained to my wife and people I've talked to about this, is it gives you the experience, the practice of being a fucking soul, a spirit, what it's like to move around, like people not being able to hear or see you, but they can still kind of like feel your essence. And um it's not entirely like this. It literally, it's so hard to explain, because obviously you can't fly in this realm and you can fly in that realm, but this feels so much cooler. So I guess the way I'm trying to explain it is, I see astral projection as literally, or out of body experience, as the, I kind of think that's what happens after we pass away. go to that spiritual place, and that is the whole reason for playing the human game, is what I'm trying to say. Because this skin suit, this earth suit, what happens when you're astral projecting, I've learned to not get scared and shit when I fall, and to just see what happens when you hit the ground. You hit and you feel it, like you feel solid stuff, but it doesn't hurt. Like when you touch doorknobs and stuff like that, you can feel that they're solid, but you don't feel the like the feeling on your skin, like on your fingertips, right? I don't know how to explain it. Like when you crash into something that normally you're expecting it to like hurt your head, it doesn't do that at all. It just feels like you hit something solid. So I feel like that spiritual realm, as cool as it is that you can fly and do shit like that and go experience anything you want, because literally I've gone to fucking planets, I've gone like to the farthest reaches of the galaxy as far as I know, and it still is not as cool and rich and vivid as a human experience. So I feel like that is the whole point to the human game, is to enrich the sensory perception of the spirit, right? To actually be able to touch something and feel if it's smooth or soft or fuzzy, not just hard or soft, right? Like you can feel the fibers of it, you can feel the wood grain, you can feel the leather um taste. Like in that realm, you don't even need food, right? You wouldn't even do that. But if you did put food in your mouth, I guarantee you probably wouldn't taste it. So the fact that the tongue allows us to taste chocolate and sour gummies and all of that shit, it's like the body allows the spirit to, like, it's an extension of our sensory perceptions, man. So that's why the human game is like the thing to do. I think this astral projection, this out of body experience, it is there to wake us up to the fact that, hey, this is what happens when you pass away. Don't get scared, right? Because it's just like a matter of time until you can find another skin suit to inhabit. And the more we wake up to this fact, maybe the more we can keep bringing back each time, right? I don't see reincarnation as some crazy, like, well, you got to fulfill karmic cycles and this is like crazy thing, and they're trying to trap us with the Saturn moon matrix and all. Maybe they are. I don't think it needs to go that far. I think the human game is the fucking thing to do. I think it's the coolest thing to do, right? And maybe there's other games, maybe there's alien games, maybe there's fucking every universe and multiverse you could imagine in any sort of biological organic skin suit to inhabit. I don't fucking know, but I have a feeling the more we interact with both fucking realms, like either, you know, through any of these tools, through psychedelics, astral projection, out of body experiences, plant medicines, communicating these, sharing our freaking experiences, all of that helps like blend the two worlds, right? The spiritual world and the physical world, to where we see it's not so separate, right? That's why so many weird and random occurrences happen, coincidences, deja vu, fucking ghosts, all of these things, right? I think they're all like just related in this big category of unexplainable, ununderstandable, weird, taboo. Just don't look, brush that shit under the carpet, right? But it's a very cool, interesting place to look, and there's a lot of self-discovery in that shit. So anyways, like, yeah, since I'm kind of talking about ghosts and spirits and everything, this is just like maybe a cool story that you find, because this happened, like, again, maybe just opening my mind up to the idea, you know, that things are not as they seem. Again, go listen to my story. I think it's probably in like part 2 or 3, but where I talk about one of the craziest out of body experiences I had. Like, obviously this one was drug induced and scared the shit out of me. It was shortly before I went to the military. But it was freaking wild, right? And the feeling that gave me at the time was the same feeling this gave me, this story I'm getting ready to tell you, gave me, as far as like, whoa, I cannot explain that. That was so real. I almost don't even want to tell anybody about it, because that's the shit they call you crazy for. But anyways, after I had shared this story, it was funny because I had heard like 3 other people have this same experience. So it's like, fucking weird. But anyways, when I was working as a miner, an underground miner, we worked a crazy shift, 7 days on, 7 days off. And you either worked like 3 day shifts, 4 night shifts, or you worked 4 day shifts, 3 night shifts, right? So depending on which schedule you were the opposite of the other one. So, anyways, I was on the crew that had 3 day shifts, 4 night shifts, and I was getting off my last night shift. So yeah, people could be like, "Oh, you were super tired and shit." Maybe, right? But I've always been a fucking night owl. Like even now, I'll stay up until midnight, 1 o'clock, wake up at 5 o'clock, do my meditation, rock and rolling, right? Like I have a weird energy system. Like I don't even argue with it at this point. It's fucking rocking and rolling. I love it. I'm gonna ride the wave as long as I can because I feel like it keeps me young. Anyways, so yeah, I'm getting off my last night shift and I am coming. So it's like, oh, fucking 6:30, 6:45 in the morning as I'm coming through town. And anyways, I'm coming through town and about 50 yards in front of me, because we in our town where we live, there's always just so many deer on the road, especially kind of in the winter time, like deer everywhere on the road. So it's just kind of second nature to like watch the periph, right? So, anyways, I'm coming through town anyway, so I'm already going like 25 miles an hour. I'm going pretty slow as it is. And like 50 yards ahead, I see out of my periph, I think it's a deer at first because I just see like the golden kind of color, the way the sun was like hitting it. 6:45 in the morning, sun was just coming up behind me. And I seen this golden thing. And I admit I was a little tired, so I wasn't paying full attention, but I started slowing down more. I let my foot off the freaking gas, so I was just coasting because I could tell in my mind, coasting, by the time I get to this thing, I'll be going like 5 miles an hour without even having to hit the brake. So, anyways, I'm coasting up to it, and as I get closer, I see it's a dog. It's like a golden retriever, and I'm like, oh, okay. And anyways, it didn't start walking until literally I got like right to it. So I did end up having to hit the brake so it could walk in front of me because it started moseying from the side of the road in front of the car. So I had to hit my brake to stop fully. And so as it was walking in front of the car, I obviously couldn't see it, but it was going from the passenger side over to the driver's side. And as it got to the, other side of the car, I could see it come out. And as it hit the middle of the road, it dissipated. It turned to mist and just like a fog. I literally could not believe it. It was like the shit you see in the movies, dude. I rubbed my eyes. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that just happened. I couldn't believe it. I got home. I was like, I woke the wife up, I think, or maybe like me getting home from work was waking her up anyways. I'm like, there's no way this just happened. I explained to her. I'm like, it was fucking wild and crazy. I even had to go get breakfast. We went and split a Denver omelet at that point because I was just like, there's no way. That was too weird, right? So, yeah, even though it seems like nothing, oh, just a ghost dog, the feeling it gave me as far as like that thing was real and then I watched it turn into smoke was just blowing my mind. So, anyways, after telling a few people, it was funny because I heard people say, like, oh, yeah, that's the ghost dog. Like, there's been several people that see that fucking thing. And it's like, okay, so I don't know if they're telling the truth, but it is kind of ironic or coincidental that they would see the same thing that I've seen without ever hearing this, right? So, um, that's pretty wild in and of itself. Um, let's see. So yeah, again, you might hear all sorts of. Here, let's see where we're running on time, guys. Oh yeah, we're not even at an hour yet. Very cool. Want to start getting these a little more dialed in. I love talking forever, and I can talk forever, but on these episodes that are a little more specific, not the riff-raff days, I want to, yeah, if they stay more dialed in around an hour, hour and a half, so you can get them in on your way to work or just before bed, that would be awesome. But yeah, one of the things I want to say about, yeah, astral projection is like, again, you will see everything online. Like I said, the golden cord. Here's the thing: I don't know for sure. I know as I'm doing it, I've never seen a fucking golden cord, and I have gone to the furthest reaches that you could imagine. Like literally, I have seen some wild shit. Like as far as like you want to talk psychedelic, way up in the stars, the galaxies, the planets. Like as I was up there, one time I seen this like purple. I don't even know how to explain it. Looked like funnel, like those hamster tubes, like just, but not a tube. Like it was almost just like a neon light, but it was in that shape of kind of like a funnel. And so, anyways, I freaking floated over to it and it launched me up. And as it was launching me up, I experienced the wildest, coolest things. Like I experienced every sound from tinkling bells to like water driplets to rain to like ocean. It felt like mist and water was hitting me on the face. Like this was the only time I was ever able to actually feel like something like that in the astral thing. And it was in this like tube. And anyways, it like finally got to the top, almost like an elevator, but a hyper fast elevator. I mean, this thing was going just faster than light speeds, experiencing all this, like I said, tinkling of bells, like jingling, like crystalline sounds. I can't even explain it. It was just like the coolest, most blissful experience. And then at the top, it was literally like a fucking cloud amusement park fucking thing. But as soon as I got off like the elevator, I fucking came to. I don't know. I don't know if I was not allowed to enter or where the fuck I was. It was a wild and weird experience as it was, so I wasn't gonna question it, right? But there's no golden cord as far as I could tell. Again, how I know this, so like there's been times when I'm flying and flying and flying, and yeah, it's a long distance between stars, even in astral realm and flying. It's a long distance. So sometimes I'm just like kind of bored with the experience and I'm like, okay, I'm not really learning or doing anything else. Like, I wonder what would happen if I fall. And I just like let go and like literally start falling and feel that experience of falling and falling and falling. And then I'll go and I'll see myself getting closer to Earth. And then all of a sudden I fall and I just kind of go right through Earth. And then, yeah, maybe it's like the projections that are in the air, whatever. But I picture not like a hell per se, but fire and lava and all that shit, but then you even fall through that, like, and you go past it to where it's just like a void, a black void where you literally, I don't know if you're falling or if you just stop or what, but I'm literally just like, all right, this fucking experience is done, and I wake myself up. So, again, I'm just trying to disprove some of the myths, and maybe they're not all the myths, but for me, the myths that I have found, right? So anyways, you may hear some of these other guys, some of these like psychic remote viewers or like astral projectors or out of body people like explain it on a totally different level than me, right? And maybe it is more than I understand. um but just like any of these other things, I kind of think it's the energy and the intention you go in with it behind. Like, if that is a kind of parallel reality to this, and you knew that and you had nefarious plans and shit, maybe you could do something or misdirect energy or get secrets or spy information or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how that shit works, but again, I think it's all intention. So that being said, if you use it with an open mind and a scientific curiosity and an exploration fucking intention like I used it with, I think it can be very insightful, um fun, and like creative and imaginative. And again, I've had some wild experiences like through psychedelics and my whole kind of metaphysical framework on what I think is going on. And of all the things that I have thought, think, believe, felt, seen, intuited, whatever you want to call it, this like astral projection realm, it feels the most like if we where our energy goes when we die. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain that. It feels like that is the purpose for it, is kind of like a training ground, a learning, a practicing place to like, hey, when you pass away, fuck around here, right? Because you're going to go to a place. Maybe it's not this place exactly. Maybe this is just like a training simulation place. So wherever we do go, you don't look like a fucking bumbling idiot trying to figure out your spirit suit, right? Looking like Bambi trying to walk. I don't fucking know. But I've I've gotten that overwhelming feeling out of it. So um that is like really what I use it for. And if I, try to intentionally do astral projection now, that's what I use it for, is like a training type ground. Like I've even fucked around and done things like written messages on a paper and like leave it for myself to find, and I'll admit like, oh, I can find the paper and I see the writing, but it looks like gibberish. I haven't gotten that good yet to deciphering apparently human writing to spirit writing or astral writing or whatever the fuck it is. Cause like I find the paper and I see the writing, but it's just like I can't make sense of the fucking words. It just looks like chicken scratch. So sometimes I'll actually see words, but it's just nothing like what I wrote, right? And I don't know that in there, right? Like, or I've had my son play with things like him write something and put it somewhere and me try to find it. And I find it, but I don't get what he wrote on it, right? So I use it as like a training, a practice ground in case like that is, again, how open minded are you, right? This is a question that lies at the heart of all of these episodes, at my philosophy, at, you know, kind of an initial impression on anybody and everybody in the world. How willing are you to admit that you don't know? How willing is somebody, how quick is somebody willing to admit that they don't know? This to me is an indicator of an open mind, because somebody who can't admit they don't know, somebody who thinks they have all the answers, thinks they have it all figured out, fucking boom, they got the blueprint to life and they're fucking set and ready. And if you don't listen to them, well, you're screwed. I'm very skeptical of these people. Again, I don't know if they're correct or not, but just that, I don't know, right? I investigate and go into everything, and I'll be the first to admit I don't know, right? I have my thoughts, opinions, beliefs, my metaphysical framework of reality, but I'll be the first to admit if I pass away and it doesn't fit into any of that shit, like, oh, okay, it wouldn't blow me, it wouldn't fucking surprise me a bit. Like, we are talking about quantum realm of infinite possibility, right? So what are the odds that my intuitions and thought patterns and beliefs and like metaphysical, structure is correct? Probably slim to none, right? But it's fun to imagine and it's fun to play with, and I do feel like it is my purpose to be doing the shit that I'm doing right now, as far as like trying to break this shit down and bring it to you guys from this level. So again, like you guys can see, if these things are starting to happen to you, whoa, that's fucking happened to me. Whoa, maybe that's what's going on. Whoa, maybe I should go listen to that guy. Whatever it is, right? I'm really good at taking a lot of information from all over the place, trying that shit out, integrating it into my own life and saying, yep, that was real, or nope, that was bullshit. And so then you start to really see people for who they are, as far as like, hey, are you somebody with an agenda just saying this shit? Or are you somebody who has experienced it in saying this shit, right? Like, that's the age of information, the age of truth right there. Go off of fucking, firsthand experience, or the next best thing, somebody who has firsthand experience. But the days of listening to somebody regurgitate information out of a book who was also written by people who never did that shit, and they wrote that shit off information about people who never did that shit. It's like, come on, we're so far down the line to see through that shit now. Like, no, if you're going to bring something to the table, it better be real life experience or anecdotal evidence of real life experience, so I can make an educated decision on if I want to do this in my own life, in my own practice, right? But again, the fear mongering days, the gaslighting, the everything is fucking evil, cancel them, shut them up days are over. We're done with those days. Because, yeah, my experience with a lot of these things is not that. And I won't lie, like, I'll be the first to admit, even though I didn't think I was like super indoctrinated into this, like, hardcore Christian structured belief system as far as like heaven, hell, dichotomy, duality, see everything as two separate things in the world, good and evil. Um, I didn't think I was like brought up into that lifestyle super hard, even though, like I said, I was like, uh, brought into the world as a member of the LDS, like Latter day Saints, and didn't like get out of that shit until a few years back. We were never like super active, and my parents never read the Bible. Like, I've done more of that shit now in my last few years of discovery and trying to figure out what's going on with these fucking things than ever growing up, right? But the projection of that fucking mindset, that structure of reality is so thick in the air that even if you don't think you are affected by it, you're affected by it. Even the most hardcore atheist out there in the world, I would argue, just like Alan Watts and like many others have talked about, the projected fears of heaven and hell and freaking that whole storyline is just, it's fucking in the air we breathe, right? So what I'm trying to get at is, I had to break this shit too. Even though I didn't think I was like super programmed by this, I had the weirdest fears of like being possessed and demons and that whole fucking thing, right? Like when I would watch scary movies, I loved scary movies growing up. And when I would watch scary movies, the scariest ones to me were, it wasn't the Pennywise and the fucking Michael Myers and the Freddy Krueger. It was the possession ones, like something to do with like either a ghost killing, kind of like The Ring or something, or like Blair Witch Project, like the possession things, like something could take over your body and make you do things you didn't want to do. um that whole just like fear was programmed into me so hard that even when I was first getting into this spirituality shit, meditation and everything like that, like I was almost too afraid to go too deep because I was like, oh man, what am I going to experience? Am I going to leave myself to get opened and possessed by some demon? Like, oh, what am I going to do? And it was like I had to go through the constant like struggle and contemplation and realization of, oh, that shit's all bullshit. It's all bukkake. It is all projected out there from fears of people not fucking knowing, and people can't admit they don't know. So they make up all sorts of weird and wacky shit, right? The reality is yes, there is good and evil in the world, but that's not all it is. If all you see the world is as good and evil, you kind of like the open-minded thing, like how quick are you admit you don't know? If you just see the world as like good and evil, black and white like that, I almost feel like you kind of have an evil agenda. As far as like the things are way more colorful, they're way more than that. Yes, that is a part of human experience and what goes on, but it is not built into the game inherently. There is no just like set code that says things have to be good and evil. No, this is a human like concept, morality, a judgment, our perception of something, right? That's why what one person could see as good, one person sees as evil. And if you have the right, well spoken enough, like articulate person, you could argue both sides, right? It's because it's a fucking very human thing. Like it's a I don't know, a conscious fucking ego evolutionary thing. I don't know what the fuck it is, right? It's a human thing. It's not built into the game inherently. It's not built into objects or um each person inherently, unless that's the way the fucking code like struggles a person to awakening, right? But Carl Jung, so many people have like talked about this, right? And I'm not saying all of these people know exactly what they're talking about, but if you take all, bits and pieces of what all of them are saying. You can step back and see the 30,000 foot view of, oh, they all kind of talk about a similar underlying truth, and then they all very much have their own individualized perspective on it. So if I can cut off the connection between their individualized perspective of it and just get to the common thread, the common denominator of truth, and what is that? That the experience, the human experience is very much individualized perception. Like we are our own universes for real. That's what it is, right? Like we are the universe made manifest, right? You are the experience, you are the universe experiencing itself. You are the creator experiencing the creation, right? If I were to say I have an animal in the image of a frog, you would say, well, you have a fucking frog. Okay. Well, if we are in the image of God, well, then we must be gods, right? It doesn't necessarily mean we're all the God that created everything, but we are all gods that have domain and dominion over this fucking reality. Like we can create whatever we want in this reality because we are in the image of, right? I don't know where else I want to go with that concept, but yeah, it's just it's a bigger picture. It's like the ocean is source, right? The ocean is everything. This is a metaphor. I'm not saying the ocean is God. Don't go there with me, but this is a metaphor. If the ocean was the all, if the ocean was God, if you took a cup of water out of it, that would be you. The cup would be your body, would be the earth suit. The cup could be anything you want. It could be black, white, yellow, pink, purple, tie-dye. You can tattoo it. You can do whatever you want. The cup can look like anything it wants. It is just the vessel, the container, the skin suit that is required for the God, the source, the all to experience coming out of itself, right? So if you have 20 cups and they're all different colors, that would be like a white person, a black person, an Asian person, a Spanish person, whatever you could go down the line. That would be like having a yellow cup, a red cup, a white cup, a blue cup, a black cup. The cups would all be different. The vessels would all be different, but the spirit in them would all be from the same source, right? This is how it is. This is how you get the oneness, the connection between everybody. We are all connected because we are all the creator, dipped out and experiencing the creation through this vessel. That's the fucking fun part, right? It has nothing to do with, like I said, to me anyways, like the Saturn moon matrix or the moon like tricks you or don't go towards the light because they're trapping your soul and they're pulling you back to earth, or karmic cycles and you have to clean things up. Like, yeah, maybe we want to clean things up from life to life because the whole purpose is to refine and get better. But is it like a universal thing that you have to do that? No, I think it's the thing to do because we all at the soul level love to learn and grow and evolve. And the human game is the fucking best thing going right now. Like I said, until we get a better fucking earth suit to go that looks cooler, that is more appealing to us than the human, it's the game going. So I believe we want to keep coming back and learning and growing and evolving. And the best way to do that is to kind of wipe the slate clean as far as the veil, put the memory swipe on it, right? That doesn't mean you forget. It's locked in our DNA, in the human DNA, to get these abilities back out, right? That's why literally there has been things in my life that I have done that I swear I'm like, oh, I'm not learning this. Like, I'm remembering this. I'm like picking up on it way faster. Like, for example, and I'm not saying this has been everything with me because there's been things I've done that like scared the shit out of me. Like, I liked electrical shit. I thought I wanted to try being a lineman. I do the line school, climbing up on a pole and shit. And here's the thing, I'm not afraid of heights. I'll fucking parachute, do, any roller coaster, you name it. I love that shit. But climbing up on a 40-foot pole with fucking lineman spikes, nope, not for me. fucking kudos to those dudes who do it, because that's a badass motherfucker and a badass job, right? So I learned instantly, whoa, this is not for me. But then the other things that I've done, like when I was mining and like certain things I would do, like when I started drilling, I was like, whoa, and I did have a really good teacher. The guy I drilled under, fucking badass. I love that guy, MacGyver. But anyways, it was like either I'm fucking hyper good at this with a hyper good teacher, or like I'm remembering this, because I was able to do like on drills like in a matter of like months what takes some people fucking a couple years to get going at. And again, I didn't run like crazy huge drills or anything, so I'm not saying I'm the best driller in the world. But had I kept going at it, I think I could have easily done that, because just like I don't know, the feel of it. I didn't drill with like gauges or anything. I could feel that motherfucker, like the pressure into the rock, the spin rate, the feed rate. Like it just felt so natural. Like fucking how to clobber up a bit right at the start and get that bitch chewing. Like if my core was breaking up, like finding the right fucking pressure to dial it in to just shit out like stick core. It was just like I can't explain it. It was like so fucking natural to me that I'm like, now knowing what I know, I'm like, oh, I had to fucking drilled in the past or something, like fucked around with that or knew the mechanics or some shit, right? There's been certain things in my life, and these things are also like, again, these are some things that people make careers out of and learn their whole thing. And these things that I'm talking about for me, they've been things like after I do them for like a year or two, I literally feel like I'm to the level of like, there's no way I'd want to do this for my whole life. There's nowhere else I could go with this. Like I could transfer around and do this same shit forever, but I cannot learn anything else. Like I've learned everything I can learn from this, right? And so I'm ready to move on. I think that is the whole purpose to like life and the experience and the learning and the growing and the refining, is to like, you start remembering these things like, and dialing yourself into your center, right? This is why I have done everything from like literally I have the most colorful background, from literally fucking starting off with an 18 X-ray contract, then going 11 Bravo in the military, freaking security guard, doing all the electrical schooling I've done, the freaking underground mining, that whole thing with the drilling, getting my CDL, driving truck and operating, running equipment, my drug addiction experience that was able to push me into counseling and helping people recover and get out of there, all the way into this spiritual shit, which has all been mostly self-taught, learned, research, obviously using people, not like self-taught as far as like I learned it all myself, just channeled it. No, like self-taught as far as like figured out who to look up and who to cipher out and who was feeding bullshit, who was feeding real shit. Did all that shit on my own, except as, I had to get attuned by a master already as far as the Reiki shit goes. But all the other shit, yeah, I used like my discernment and let one, when I would finally track onto a good person, let that person lead me to more, and even realizing that, hey, in my experience or my personal opinion, some of these people that this person even listens to could be this, but then you find some real ones through there. It's like tracing a fucking, I don't know, going through a maze, right? Because it's easier to sell bullshit than it is the truth. And there's a lot of people out there trying to capitalize and sell the information. Those aren't the ones I'm interested in. I'm interested in the ones who are selling you their experience, their expertise, their real life experience and integration, practices, techniques, and experiences. Yeah, those are the ones I'm interested in, as far as like they don't have an agenda to sell. They're the ones who are doing what they say no matter what, whether they get one person that takes their course, their apprenticeship, their gets a reading from them, whatever it is, whether they get one person or whether they get 100 million people, it's the same to them, because much like the psychedelic, much like the plant medicine, much like the spiritual practice itself, this person doesn't need the validation or the approval or the permission of anyone around them. They're living this life because they know what it is and what it does for them, right? So they are trying to bring that to people as far as like a helping hand, not to say, hey, you have to come through me to get this fucking information and knowledge, but saying, hey, maybe my experience, maybe seeing like me do and operate in the way that I do, maybe that is how you'll learn, right? That is what I'm about. That's how I fucking learn. That's how I love to learn. Obviously, I love like reading and researching shit. But when it comes to incorporating it and the people I want to surround myself with, invest my money in, give my energy to, I want the people that don't need me. They're the people that are doing what they're doing regardless. And I just happen to stumble upon them and can now learn a fucking thing or two by being in their presence and being able to vibrate at their frequency, right? This is like I've talked about in the past. This is how the energy healing practice that not only I do, that I think a lot of people do, actually works as far as we aren't healing you. It's not like I got some fucking magic in my hands and I'm like, oh, I'm fucking zapping you and I heal you. No, it's not that. It is that I have learned and understood myself so much. I know who I am, right? That nothing can phase me. Like the vibration that I hold because of my intentions, my practices, the things that I do, my vibration cannot be penetrated, right? Zero fucks given. If you give me the opportunity and the healing, the time, the space, the energy, the effort, the intention in that hour-long session, the person now has, if they have an open mind, they have the ability to feel my vibration and how good that feels, or the low vibrating state of pain, dis-ease, stress, or whatever they're in, and they can choose to match vibration or not, right? But it is not like my energy, like I've said before, like we are batteries, we're cell phones. The person is the cell phone, and the universe, the ether, all this shit around us, it is the energy source. And I just become the plug, the fucking, the charging cord that everybody's always looking for or fucking breaking, right? I'm like, realistically, when we get to wireless charging, people like me won't even be needed. Like when everybody learns that you can do this yourself. Like here's the fucking the kicker to it. This is a very shitty business model if you ask me, if I'm trying to take all your money or snake oil salesman you, right? After you learn my practice, and not my practice, I don't want to say that. After you learn this technique, this practice, Reiki, energy healing, and you get it from a attuned master like myself or many more like me, you never have to spend a fucking dime on it again. You never have to go anywhere again. Like, I haven't been sick, like I said, in fucking ages. Like, call it what you want to call it, but it's pretty fucking cool. I feel amazing. My energy levels are off the roof. Like, I feel better now than I did when I was 18. Like, my joints, like what doctors said was arthritis. Like, when I went to the doctor at 27 years old, I was told I had the worst arthritis he had ever seen. Like, how do you have this for a 27-year-old? I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. You tell me. You're the doctor, right? Like, oh, maybe it's genetic. Maybe it is. And maybe through all of this shit, like maybe it's still there, or maybe have gotten rid of it, right? Like I said, it's very easy to call a lot of this shit like taboo, hippie, woo-woo, spiritual bullshit off the rip. One, because we like fucking feeling comfortable and we like feeling like what we're doing is correct, even though we know most likely it's probably not. Like when we're not eating right, we know we're not eating right. When we're fucking not getting good rest, when we're being grumpier than usual, not being the best us we can be, we know, right? We can lie and put on a front to the rest of the world, but we can't lie to ourselves. Again, I'm not the fucking judge. I don't care, right? I'm not the one sitting there in the fucking astral realm when you fucking pass away. Like, it's going to be you, yourself, the universe, the creator, whatever. So that's all I'm saying, right? So I got off on this rant, but it all goes back to like how quick are you willing to admit you don't know, right? And I'm not saying like, oh, just play dumb, like, oh, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I don't want to know anything. That's that feeling of comfort and fear and security and complacency, right? Like, that's not a good place to get, that ignorant kind of place. Like, I don't know and I don't want to know kind of thing. No, life is about learning, growing, evolving, refining, right? So, again, what things we want to get interested in and shit, yes, this is very subjective, but I feel like we should all be trying to learn and grow and figure out, not only our individual purpose and, what we're kind of here to do, but kind of a bigger picture of, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Because then it gives you a direction in that bigger picture, right? And like the kind of fear to all this spirituality shit, like, some fears that I hear is like, once you crush the heaven and hell dichotomy, once you see through that like dual lens of like Jesus, Satan, heaven, hell, good, evil, what else is there to look forward to? And what I can tell you is like, man, that's when the fun just begins. Like when I anyways was stuck in that like limited framework, again, I had so much fear. I was afraid to do even the shit that I enjoyed. Scary movies, entertainment, for fuck's sakes, guys. Like, this is what like you get to. You see that like even if there are people out there with crazy, weird agendas and energies behind shit, if you have a positive intention, vibration, and energy, like, and moral compass behind you, that shit just bounces off you. It, like, no joke. It doesn't, you see right through it, and then you can still enjoy that entertainment that you enjoy without all the fucking dogma attached to it, because it just like, it doesn't fucking affect you, right? And that's how things should be. Even somebody with a shitty intention coming up with somebody with a good intention should get crushed every time, right? If there's one thing we know, it's good destroys evil every time, right? Like, so just having a positive ass vibe, like you watch two things fucking vibrate. If there's a fucking slow thing and a super fast thing, usually the slow thing starts oscillating at the vibration of the super fast thing, right? High vibration, low vibration. It's just like universal fucking principles, guys. This is how like the law of attraction and magnetism and shit starts working. So yeah, it's the more you discover yourself, the more you fucking play around with these things, the more you start to see life through the lens of, oh, everything isn't so cut, dry, black and white. Yes, there is evil going on in the world, but that is, for lack of better words, it has to be there. Everything is exactly the way it should be right now, right? Like maybe we get to a point in the future, in our timeline, in history, whatever the fuck you want to call it, where we no longer need to experience that shit because our soul's purpose has grown and evolved to a higher fucking level, a higher state of consciousness, a wider bandwidth of understanding. But for now, it's 100% necessary, for the same way that I realized like I had to see all that shit, as horrible as it is, through this lens to get to here, to realize like, oh shit. So it's like, it's kind of a necessary catalyst to the awakening process. Um, like I've talked about in a fucking reel I made, healing is a process. And I think we are all healing. Whether you realize you're somebody like, I'm not necessarily saying we're all trying to heal from some childhood trauma or our parents beating us, or no, I'm not saying that. But I think we are all trying to heal from a soul's aspect of everybody from fucking birth, right? Like everybody hits this age at some point. Usually, like I've noticed with my children and with me remembering and putting it back to the same, it's usually around like 7 to 10, right? Where you kind of start to contemplate death and this whole thing that your parents aren't going to be here anymore. You're going to be like alone without them, and you don't have an understanding of time. So you almost start to freak yourself out and give yourself this anxiety of like a fear of death. Like, oh my God, my parents aren't going to be here. I'm not going to be here someday. I'm going to be here without them. And it's like, I think at an early age, without this shit being explained like this, creates a lot of fear and anxiety and knowing in our soul of what the fuck is going on, why here, why this, why now, like what, you know what I'm saying, why all this anxiety, what is my purpose in it, all of that shit, right? And I think all of these tools, whether it be plant medicine, psychedelics, the astral projection, meditation, breath work, all of them get you to a place of just knowing who you are. You see yourself as the spirit in the fucking earth suit having the experience, and it starts to take those fears away. You're not so scared. You actually want to have fun. Your mindset shifts. Your perspective shifts. You see things from a whole new light and you go, oh my God, everything is perfect exactly the way it is, right? You can't explain that. You can't put it into words because there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. But once you get to that point, you see how much amazingness there is in the world. That's what I want to say. Like, you see the flip side of the coin and you see the fucking beauty in everything. And you see the fact that humans have been here for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, and fucking we're not fucking it up, and global warming isn't like, here's the thing, we are fucking doing some crazy shit to the planet, right? That probably isn't 100% necessary. That being said, we're not like the mold growing on the planet that needs to be fucking depopulated and extinguished. No, quite the contrary. Like, us in combination with the planet can bring the fucking amazing, fun, spiritual realm into reality, right? That's like the new earth. That's the fifth dimension. That's like fucking paradise on earth. That's like Tomorrowland, you know? That shit is 100% possible. So, and I don't think it comes by getting rid of people. I think it comes by waking people up and sparking our imaginations, and possibly even more people. Like, there's fucking so much earth, dude. So much earth. Everybody is just like squabbling over the fucking ocean front. But there's a lot of beautiful earth everywhere. So what I'm getting at is, like, when you start to discover who you are and see your purpose in it, you see the grander picture and you see, like, oh, even in this weird, fucked up, chaotic scramble of a mess, things are just the way they should be. They're just dialed in for perfection, for allowing people the ability to grow, evolve, and reach higher states of, like, awareness, consciousness, and operating and being, right? Like, if everything was just perfect, like, again, when everything is perfect, Alan Watts has talked about this and a lot of other philosophers in the past. We'll probably get there someday to, like, what they call fucking 1,000-year paradisical reign, or whatever you want to fucking call it, just where everything is absolutely perfect. And in no time, humans will figure out a way to fucking burn it down, right? Because that'll be the burn down process of where we thought that was cool, but we can take it to a whole new level. There's always going to be a level that we cannot fathom, that we cannot imagine, that is greater than the one that we can imagine, right? It's like this saying that I always say, and I don't know where I heard this. It's not my thing. I just always say it. But be better today than you were yesterday, and do better tomorrow than you did today. Right? So if we think of that on a global scale, if we're all trying to do better than our fucking ancestors, right? And then we think, hey, we want our fucking future people to have a super high bar to set, and we're always operating like that, well, then there's always going to be this amazing, absolute, beautiful future that we can't even fathom, right? There will be the opposite to that, and there will be a fucking hell, if you want to call it that. Both of those options are possible every single stage of the way. But if we keep incrementally going, just like a spiritual awakening, it is not this. You do not stay flat and go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. No, you go up, and then you do come down and learn some shit. But then when you go back up, you go higher than you did before. And then when you come down, you never go as low as you did before, but you come down and then you go up higher. That is how evolving and refining and learning, works. Societies, people, consciousness, it's the same thing, right? It doesn't, on the smallest scale to the largest scale, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's how these fucking things work, right? It's easier to understand them on a smaller level, and then you just apply reasoning and a little bit of mathematics and statistics on a global scale, and it's like, oh shit, we can make moves, right? Like, you actually see, everybody always wants you to think like, oh, your voice doesn't matter. Don't stand up. Don't say anything. You're just one person. What can you do? You're right. But you can start a domino effect. Like the mycelial network of the fucking earth, you can start a movement. You can spread like an infection. And just like I say, it's the energy behind these things. If negative shit wants to spread like a virus, or, you know, maybe they're the infection. Maybe negative shit is spreading like an infection. Maybe we want to use our positive energy to spread like a virus, a good virus that like attacks and immunizes the subject, right? I don't know, just a weird way to look at it, but there's a there's usually a lot of truth in that as far as the cure is in the disease, right? If you look at a lot of antidotes and cures to like poisonous, insects or bugs or venomous snakes, usually the antidote is in the venom, the poison. I think society and people and consciousness is the same way, right? Like I think our fears and these negative aspects, I don't think they just go away or disappear, right? I think sweeping in them under the rug and acting like they don't exist or trying to get rid of them just amplifies them. But like Terrence McKenna talked about, by diving into the abyss and realizing it's a feather mattress on the other side, facing our fear straight on is usually the thing that has the most power to us, like spiritually, mentally, physically. It's where the most growth, the most awakening can happen, right? um Hamilton has talked about, like, it's a hard selling point to somebody who's never done psychedelics that the greatest thing that could happen to you during a psychedelic trip is that you think you're going to die, right? But this is the truth to it. Like, the best thing that can happen to you, and I'm not talking like an ego death, but like that you, and well, an ego death happens out of this, but where your physical organism, you actually feel like you are going to die, or like your brain has thrown you into a state of mania, into madness that you will never recover from. When you get into these places, the most learning, the most growth, the most refining, like the fastest, like evolutionary fucking can take place. And it's like, it's unexplainable, but that, it's a hard selling point. But it's the same thing with a lot of these tools, right? Maybe not to that magnitude and that effect. You're not going to have a psychedelic like experience every time, but through meditation, through astral projection, through breath work, through plant medicine, through spirit guide readings, past life readings, all of this field of, taboo spirituality shit, a lot of your fears about it can be cured by trying them out. And then when you try them out, you kind of see them for what they are. And don't get me wrong, like, I love a lot of this shit, but it can be very silly too. There can be some fucking people that are very, even legit people that are very good at it, can be like very over the top and eccentric and like, really try to sell the shit. Very entertaining. And again, I love that shit, but it can be off-putting to some people. But you see it for what it is. Like, oh, it's just an entertaining way to do their thing. That's that person's personality, quirkiness, weirdness. That's the way they love to do it, right? It shouldn't take away from the technique, the teaching, the practice itself. But what I'm trying to get at is, by doing these things, by attempting them, by experiencing them, by starting to surround yourself and immerse yourself in them, one, you'll find out, okay, it's either for me or not for me. But two, you see it for what it is. Oh, it's a fucking goofy, cool little thing, and like, I like to do it this way, or I don't like to do it this way. But the undeniable fact across the board is they do help you all kind of get to a similar place, a kind of conjecting, concentric ring of circles of inner knowing, of self-discovery, of figuring out who you are and what the fuck is going on in the grander scheme of things. You never get fucking perfect at it. You're always trying to make sense of it, but you do get to a place of kind of like where I'm at and where many others are, of like confidence, of like, okay, we got to try to combat some of the nonsense, some of the gaslighting, some of the fear mongering and snake oil salesmen with some truth, right? Like you see it just like the 100 monkey experiment type of thing that I've explained before. When enough of us start to get on the same wavelength, the same mental projection, it just starts to click across the board. So you kind of, some of us, again, I don't think this is anything special. Like, this is not one person, two person, three person special. I think this is happening across the board. Yes, I think some people are recognizing the patterns and shit before others. And there's some people that have been noticing them for a long time, right? There's people way ahead of me, and there's a whole group of people like with me, and we're trying to wake up a whole group of fucking other people that are, where we were a few years ago, and those people will eventually get to the point of waking up. It's just a continuous process. There's never not going to be enough people to fucking wake up until, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how the fucking realm of souls works. Like, again, that I don't know, right? Like, I know there are like older souls and younger souls. Like, you meet some people when you start to see it like this, like in their earth suit, like, oh, this guy's definitely brand new. This dude he's new in the earth suit. And then you meet some people, and they might even be younger than me, like way younger than me, 18 years old or whatever. And you hear the way they speak, the energy they carry. And I'm even like, oh, I need to tune in because this guy knows, or this girl knows. Like, they've seen some shit, not in their 18 years, but they've seen some shit on a soul level, right? Like, they've played the game a time or two, and they know it. This is always going to be happening as far as I know. Again, I don't know how the realm of souls works and all that shit. I'm not claiming to be some fucking expert on all this shit. Maybe it just keeps replenishing. Maybe there's a time when there's not new ones and we all eventually get to a point. I don't know. But for now, I see it as like a process that, yes, is speeding up, more people than previously doing it. But I think it's still going to just be an ongoing process. So if you're someone starting to experience this shit, hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully this gives you a little framework, a little direction on, either what's going on with you, or if you're interested in this shit, like where to get looking and get started. And, I'm going to be, again, coming out with episodes for each of these things like I have been. There's already psychedelic episodes. There's already Reiki energy episodes. Already talking about teachers and gurus. So I'm already doing that. So go back and check them out. Listen, I think there's a ton of great information, hours and hours and hours of my experiences with this shit, the real life evidence in my reality that this shit is not evil, that it is the energy and the intention behind the tool, man. So I don't know how else to say that, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, so we're going to end this episode on that. I know I got off the topic of astral projection there towards the end, but it kind of tied up what I was trying to get at. Is all of these tools can be used for that. Astral projection, psychedelics included. And then, yeah, you had the first part of the episode, hearing my astral projection experiences and the clarity it can bring and the fun that can be had doing it. So, yeah, let me block that thing off real quick. So yeah, we're going to wrap this up. Hopefully the astral projection helped you out if you've ever experienced night terrors, sleep paralysis. Maybe this could be something that helps you out. Again, Joseph Campbell, the Monroe Society, and then Spotify has a ton of, frequency, hertz, and meditation, hypnotherapy soundtracks that can get you into the right mindset. And again, you do, in my experience anyways, I have to be in pretty good health as far as hydrated, eating the right foods, whatever foods are right for you. Some people do better with meats. Some people do better with vegetables. Some people do better with fruits. We're not all the same. I'm a fruit person, like not even vegetables and meats. Like fruits are they're my centering, aligning food. Like I can't explain it, but when I eat nothing but fruits and water, I can have the most amazing Reiki sessions, the most crazy, like astral projections. The psychedelic explorations are amazing. the mental clarity, the feeling, just all of it, right? And then, like a human being, I love slacking off and getting comfortable and eating sour gummies and fucking chocolate milk. So, to each their own, right? But yeah, have fun learning some of this shit. Share these messages with people and start joining the conversation, guys. Fucking let me know what y'all think. If you think I'm crazy, if I'm helping you out at all, if you would like to discuss anything else, if you have questions about anything I've tried, experienced, or experimented with, shoot me your questions and let me know. And yeah, other than that, follow me on Instagram. I am Ryan_Rogers. You can shoot me questions at email. I am_energy at yahoo.com. And yeah, other than that, go have a killer fucking weekend, and we will see you next time on Wrong Side of the Tracks, where we're talking about all the weird, the wacky, the woo-woo, and we're bringing it to you in a real life, personal, experienced, grounded way, right? So yeah, go have a killer weekend. I love y'all. Thanks for joining me on Wrong Side of the Tracks. Peace.